Hi everyone, it's Kamil, and if you are new here, I would like to welcome you to my channel dedicated to learning Elixir and OTP by doing stuff. This is the 16th episode in the series that we dedicate to create a cryptocurrency trading bot in Elixir, and this time we will focus on end-to-end testing of our naive trading strategy. We will start with end-to-end tests as they are the easiest ones to write, and they will allow us to introduce things like environment-based config files, but I believe that they are the low-hanging fruit of the testing. They are most of the time flaky and unpredictable, so when they are broken, you don't really know what's going on there, you just know that things got broken. It's great to have those for very limited, critical happy paths, but for everything else, I would advise to go into unit testing and test all the code paths there. As always, you can follow along by using the links in the description below. There are links to other resources if you want to dig deeper into concepts that I introduce in this episode. Please remember to smash that like button if you like the content, as this helps tremendously to push this content to the new people and ultimately helps to get Elixir viral. And if you didn't subscribe yet, please do so. It doesn't cost anything, and if you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe. Don't do it. Otherwise, enjoy. Before jumping into creating end-to-end tests for the naive strategy, let's fix one thing that I observed as I was recompiling our codebase. The decimal module was complaining that the cast function that we are using all over the codebase will be deprecated in the new second version of the package. As V2 has already been released, I looked into how difficult would it be to migrate. In the end, the release contains breaking changes. At that moment I realized that we are overusing the decimal package. Instead of converting all strings to decimal structs, we can just use strings and the decimal package will happily deal with them. This will simplify a lot of code around calculating prices and quantity. First, we will update the required version in the dependencies of all our umbrella apps. Next, we will start to remove all converting code and return strings instead of floats from the calculations. Okay, back to the testing. Let's look how we could test our naive strategy. First, we will walk through the current system to refresh on how it works. Everything starts with the Binance Streamer process that establishes a WebSocket connection to the Binance API. From that moment, it will receive trade events which it will broadcast to the PubSub topic. All trader processes subscribe to that topic, so they will receive those trade events, and as they trade, they will broadcast orders back to the different PubSub topics. The data warehouse storing worker processes are subscribed to the orders topics and they will store them into the database. What we could do is to simply make the test act as the Binance streamer. It will broadcast trade events that we will fine-tune to cause trading activity that we can then check by querying the database. We will add tag to our test so we will be able to run it separately. The test itself will consist of 5 steps, starting with updating the trader settings, enabling the storing of the orders through starting trading, and then sending the list of trade events one by one spaced by the time interval. Finally, as a last step, but only after waiting for a bit, we will be able to query the database to see that orders were placed, confirm the prices, order sites and statuses. We'll also need to implement a helper function that will generate trade events for us. We will add the data warehouse application as a test dependency to the naive application. We will also remove other auto-generated tests from all the projects in our umbrella. As we don't want to use the development databases inside our test, we will improve our configuration to allow for environment-specific settings. For example, for testing we will have separate databases from those in the development environment, and only in production we will use the Binance module. Next, we will add aliases to the naive and the streamer applications for seeding data. Finally, we will be able to utilize those aliases in the main mix.exe file, where we will add setup and test integration aliases. At this moment, we will be able to use those aliases to run our new integration test, which should drop databases, create new ones, migrate and seed them from the Binance API before running the test. Relying on a third-party API to run our test is a horrible idea, so we will use an IX session to store a local copy of the response data inside a file that will be used in the test environment instead of querying the Binance API. As we don't own the structure, we will need to derive the JSON encoder protocol to be able to encode the Binance Exchange Info struct. Okay, this required a little bit of googling, but the long story short is that protocols consolidation happens at the compile time to speed things up. To avoid this problem, we will need to disable the protocol consolidation in dev. Now finally we can convert struct to JSON and store it in a file for the future use in our test environment. To limit the changes to the codebase and simplify things, we will modify the Binance mock module to return the cached exchange info from the JSON file in the test environment. As Mix is not available in the production to tell us what environment we are using, we need to put a new flag inside the configuration. I also realized that we don't use the configuration-based Binance client inside the streamer seed script. We will fix that now and add the Binance mock to the streamer dependencies. And now we can... Okay, I know why we used Binance instead of Binance mock in the streamer seed script. As we were adding the pub sub and sending our data to it at the very beginning of this project, we just added it to the streamer application. This caused a knock-on effect where all of the other applications in the umbrella interested either in the trade events or using the pub sub needed to add streamer application as a dependency, including the Binance mock application. As we now modified the streamer to have the Binance mock as a dependency, we effectively created a dependency cycle that can't be resolved. This is an interesting problem that you could see at the daily work as a software engineer. The question to ask yourself is where PubSub and the trade events struct belong. In the streamer, in the Binance mock? I believe that it should be placed in neither of them, as those applications are only users of the struct and the PubSub process. What we should do is to create a new supervised application called core, where we can attach the PubSub to the supervision tree and hold the system-wide structs like trade event, so every app can depend on it instead of each other. Let's start with creating a new supervised app called core inside our umbrella. We'll move the trade event struct from the streamer application to the core application and update all dependencies list to contain the core app. We will need to remember about updating all the references to the trade event struct as well as getting rid of the streamer app in the dependencies lists. We can now move the PubSub process from the streamer application's supervision tree to the core app's supervision tree, and again update all the references to it, but also add the Phoenix PubSub module to the depths list of the core app. Last quick fix, we forgot to add the ecto-enum package to the dependencies list of the warehouse app. We can now rerun our integration test, which will run much faster as it won't make a request to the Binance API to seed the test database. Okay, we've finished our first test, so nobody can accuse us of being cowboys anymore. But on more serious note, tests like that will cause headaches if we will expand on them. They can't be run asynchronously, and Elixir, as far as I understand, provides a way to run synchronously all the tests inside a single module, but not necessarily inside multiple modules. That's why we will stop here with a single test, and in the next episode we will focus on writing a lower level test. Please remember to smash that like button and subscribe so you will be informed when the next episode is out. Otherwise, see ya!